Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back. Kellen here with Droid Life. So we just got done with our unboxing of the Nexus 6P and the Nexus 5X. And so please watch that if you haven't already. What we want to do now though is just sort of run a whole bunch of other devices up against each, just so you can kind of see them in hand, talk just some minor differences here and there. This isn't a complete, overview comparison in terms of software and features and all that stuff, but just kind of a quick glance to show you guys some of the other meaningful phones out there right now up against each. So what we want to start with is the Xperia Z5 Compact. So this is the newest phone in our collection here, and you can just see against the 6P, it's just not even close, right? It's a totally different type of phone. This is a small phone. This is a sort of oversized flagship phone, and so you have a 4.6-inch display here on the Z5 Compact. You have a 5.7-inch Quad HD display over here. So just completely different phones, but just so you can kind of see how crazy they look in hand next to one another. If you want to do a fair comparison, it would probably be these two. So again, 4.6-inch here and 5.2-inch with the Nexus 5X, and they're still substantially different in terms of size, but they are sort of comparable devices in hand. This one's obviously plastic, and this one's sort of a more premium plastic build. Just sort of a quick look there. So Z5 Compact. If we go ahead and start jumping into some other things now, like here is the LG V10. So this is LG's new ginormous phone. It's got a 5.7-inch Quad HD display like the Huawei device. They're actually about the same height, it looks like. I don't know what it is, but this LG phone just feels giant in hand. So here they are next to each other. They actually don't look that much different in terms of size, but I don't know what it is. There's something about it. It just feels really sort of awkward to use a little bit in one hand, and the 6P comes off as much more inviting. Here they are side by side, in case you want to see that. So definitely premium phone over here with the V10. It does have a Snapdragon 808 though versus the 810 here in the 6P. And then just because it's silly, here it is next to the 5X. So definitely different sizes here. And again, you have 1080p in the 5X versus the Quad HD in the V10. So, but two LG devices, so you can see how much different they are. Both have fingerprint sensors on the back. I have a feeling the Nexuses are going to be a little bit better than the V10. The V10 hasn't been a great sensor so far for me. Let's see. Let's go Moto X Pure Edition next. So here is the Moto X Pure Edition, 5.7-inch Quad HD as well, and you can just see the slim body that Motorola seems to have put in here. So this is it next to the 5X. They actually feel a little similar in hand. The Pure Edition is definitely more premium. It's got a metal frame around it and all of that stuff, but and it just got a different texture and things. It definitely feels more premium, but size-wise, they're not really that much different, which is crazy because again, 5.7 here and 5.2 here. So there's that look. Here it is up against the 6P, which is its true competitor. So you can just see it is a little bit smaller than this device. Both feel nice in hand. The 6P is just a little bit bigger, and it doesn't quite have that rounded pillow sort of effect that the Pure Edition has. The Pure Edition is a great in-hand device. 6P feels good, don't get me wrong, but I would have to give the edge here to the Moto X Pure Edition just in terms of hand feel. But you have a fingerprint sensor here, and you don't have one over here. This also has a Snapdragon 808. This has the 810. So you have more power here, maybe some heat issues. You don't have that here, but you may be underpowered a little bit for a Quad HD display. So moving along, here is the Samsung Galaxy S6. Wouldn't be a Droid Life video if we didn't drop something, right? So here's the regular Galaxy S6. Definitely a smaller phone, so 5.1-inch display here, but it is Quad HD. See it there in hand. Obviously, the Galaxy S6 is just one of my favorite in-hand phones there is. It just feels great in hand. Definitely premium, although the 6P is quite premium as well. I mean, it's just, I can't state this enough. It feels great because it's just got that full metal frame, and it looks great, and it feels good in hand. It's just a really nice phone. So Galaxy S6 there. In terms of size, this is probably the more fair comparison. So 5.2-inch display, 5.1-inch display, but you do have the front speaker on the LG Nexus 5X. This probably makes it just slightly taller. You can see it is a slightly taller phone. Samsung went with the speaker on the bottom, so there's going to be a difference there. And then in hand front. So they both feel good in hand because they're both smaller phones. The Nexus, the Galaxy S6 definitely feels better in hand. It's premium, it's metal, it's glass, and it just has a slightly smaller sort of frame to it that you can really just use it with one hand. And the 5X should be a one-handed device as well. I just think this might be a little bit easier here with the Galaxy S6. So, all right, moving on. Still with Samsung though, here is the Note 5. So Note 5. The size here is pretty crazy. I believe it's also a 5.7-inch Quad HD AMOLED, and you can see it's almost the same size as the 5X. So Samsung's doing really good things in terms of size here. And it runs, a newer Exynos processor instead of the Snapdragon 808. Speaker on the bottom though. Headphone jack down there as well. And here they are in hand. Samsung just did an incredible job in hand with the Galaxy Note 5. It just has that subtle curve to the back that really fits well in the palm of your hand. So even though it's a large device, you can really sort of get everywhere you need to without doing a whole lot of work. So, and here it is next to its real competitor, which is the Nexus 6P. So similar size, but the Galaxy Note 5 is definitely a little bit shorter. So again, Samsung just did a hell of a job making this thing all shrunken down into a smaller frame for such a big phone. The Note 5 is an incredible phone if you haven't used one. Sure, it's running Samsung's TouchWiz, but overall it's a great, great phone. So I'd have to give the edge to Samsung a little bit here too over the 6P. 6P just has a little bit sharper edge, doesn't quite have that inviting curve to the backside, just like the Moto X Pure Edition versus it. And again, I'm not saying the 6P feels bad in hand because the steel feels really good. I'm just saying I would give this slight edge here to the Note 5. All right, so let's go iPhone. So here's the iPhone 6, and the iPhone 6s is basically the same exact design here. So here it is next to the 6P. Obviously metal designs. iPhone, incredibly thin, tiny battery that lasts as long as these mega batteries in Android phones, which is kind of nuts. Lightning port, which is reversible, sort of like the USB Type-C port. Fun stuff there. And then in hand, so the iPhone, obviously it's a smaller phone, so it's going to feel a little bit better in hand. This is the regular 6, obviously not the 6 Plus. There you have it. And here it is next to a phone more its size. So 4.7-inch display, I believe, in the iPhone 6, 5.2 here. So Apple definitely hasn't figured out a way to reduce bezel. They have top and bottom bezel that are quite substantial. So you can see for 4.7 to 5.2, it's, the size difference isn't really that big. So there you have that iPhone. All right, now let's jump into Nexus. So here is the original Nexus 5. So you can see how it compares to the new Nexus 5. It's very similar phones. Obviously upgraded specs all around, but this is also the white model. You can see they even sort of kept the same design, right? With just the white back plate and then the black front. There's that. I believe it was just a 5 or just slightly under 5-inch display here with the original Nexus 5. And you have a 5.2 now with the Nexus 5X. So obviously the speaker on the front, and this has a speaker, on the bottom. That's right. Almost forgot that. So in hand, very similar, very plasticky, definitely very similar phones. Let's compare 5 to the 6P. So not really comparison here. One's the really premium option. One's a few-year-old plastic option that was also affordable back then. So definitely different phones. So, yep. 5 versus 6P. Okay, and then finally, here is the Whale. So last year's Nexus 6 up next to the 6P. It's definitely a wider phone. It's not necessarily taller though, but definitely wider. It has that 6-inch Quad HD display versus the 5.7 here. I would say it's maybe a little bit heavier. Yeah, I'd say it's definitely heavier. Look, the Nexus 6 is a huge phone. You either love it or you hate it. It feels nice in hand, but it's just so damn big that it's tough to use with one hand for sure. Very premium though, just like the 6P is. So here they are in hand. Both large phones, but I mean the Nexus 6 is just such a whale. All right, and finally, here it is next to the 5X. Yep. And that is pretty much it. Again, these weren't in-depth comparisons, just sort of a size comparison video to show you guys what they look like in hand. Obviously a plastic phone here and a premium metal build here. So that's it. Just a quick comparison of a bunch of phones to these in terms of just size, in hand feel. Hopefully that helps some of you guys decide if you're working on that. For now though, that's it. We got camera comparisons coming, and stay tuned for our full reviews, which will be out shortly. We are Droid Life. Peace.